David Uosikkinen is in the Pocket is sponsored by the School of Rock Main Line. I'd like to thank the School of Rock Main Line, located at 511 Old Lancaster Road in Berwyn. You can visit their website at schoolofrock.com. Ask for Dave Marsh or Rick Allison.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the David Uosikkinen in the Pocket podcast. I was going to say we were doing the podcast. I forgot to ask our producer which number of podcasts it is. I think it's like 129 or 30 or something like that. And it's we're coming to you a little abbreviated in a shorter group than normal because Andy's on vacation and Freddie B is here with me today. How you doing, Fred?
What's up? You know,
hey, man.
Doing good. Love your hat, man.
My wife keeps on trying to steal the hat away from me. I like this hat, man. Holger, our tour manager in Europe, gave me this thing. But I'm super excited about today's podcast because we got a legend on the show, man. He's great. I've been wanting to get Joe on for a long time. We have some mutual friends, and he's been feels like I've been listening to him forever. And he's great, funny guy, and he's an artist. He's has a band. He seems like he's working all the time. So it's going to be a good one. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest today, Joe Conklin.
What's happening, brother?
How you doing, Joe?
Oh, great. I never knew how to say your name properly, but I always thought it was Uosikkinen, and you just said it properly at the top. What's your name, sir?
Joe, I'm not even sure I say it properly. Our good friend Nick Jameson, who now lives in Iceland, he left the country. He said
he had to.
He left. He said, with the election, he wasn't happy. He said, I'm going to move. And he's only.
Oh my!
I heard a lot of people say that didn't do it, but Nick Jameson left.
But we're taking over Greenland too, though.
Yeah.
And I got him marked. I got him marked in Iceland. I know where he is.
Well, he left. He stayed, and he called me. He goes, David, you've been saying your name wrong forever. And I said, well, I'm Finnish, and my parents would say Uosikkinen, and I couldn't do that.
Okay.
What it would mess that up, and so I started saying Uosikkinen, and I had people. I mean, Fran Smith calls me Dave Uosikkinen. I mean, I put a D in my name, I can't.
And you're not even a citizen.
It just,
So you're Finnish. You're Finnish and not Ukrainian, like Skip Denberg's calling you Ukrainian all over the block.
Skip.
Our man Skip's the best. Yeah. Where my parents came over in the early 50s, and then I was born in the United States, and my parents and me, we learned to speak English together. And I kid people and I tell them I speak Finglish because my English is terrible and my Finnish is terrible. So I can't even say my name. So
what town were you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Levittown. I was in Milk Creek.
Yeah. Okay. Did you go to Truman?
I went to. Wow, man! Listen to you. I went to Wilson.
I love all that old stuff, man.
I got kicked out, believe it or not, with all those kids from Croydon and Bristol. I got kicked out of FDR Roosevelt, which was really hard to do.
Where'd you have to go?
I went to, and then because they gave me a tutor, and then I finished. I graduated, and then I went to Delhaize.
You did go to Delhaize, okay?
I went to Delhaize for 2 years, and then I graduated and went to Woodrow Wilson. Graduated in 74.
Okay.
70,
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Olney. I went to Cardinal Doherty, but I sold pots and pans up in Levittown for a year or two, and actually sold advertising up there too.
Wow.
So I got to know about all the schools, and Delhaize turned into an employment office, if I'm not mistaken, or unemployment office.
Yeah, because I remember at one point, I had to go there. It used to be the Levittown Shopping Center. They used to have the unemployment office there because I think I collected unemployment in 1970. Around 75, 76. And I remember going to those offices up there. And then for some reason, I guess I had to go up and I just saw it. Yeah, you're right. It was at Delhaize.
You're talking right on 413, right? Off 95 there?
Yeah, right off of there, man. It was a scary looking building, man.
Yeah, it was old.
All those schools when we were younger, man, looked like, It was either school or penitentiary.
You said Levittown Shopping Center. There's like 30 of those. Remember the Levittown Discount World with Jerry Plavins across the street?
Oh, sure,
13.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We used to go all the way up there from Cotman Avenue to get like $40 off a sofa at the J.C. Penney Furniture Outlet.
You could get deals. What was that? Do you remember? There used to be a place in Pendle called Flannery's.
Flannery's. Okay. Right near Big Marty's?
Big Marty's, right? Except Big Marty's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooperative furniture.
Yeah.
And a strip joint or two.
More than two. The strip joints. Oh, those days were great. Those days were great, man. So do you ever sleep, Joe? Because I was always amazed that I'd hear you doing and you'd be doing your shows and you're doing your comedy act, and then you'd be on WIP in the morning on the radio. Where do you find time to do everything you do?
Well, you know how it is. You pick up a little bit of this, you pick up a little bit of that. It looks like you're busy all the time. We're just trying to fill out the week. It's just like the old days. It's funny. We're talking about all those places and dates. I don't know why. I keep a calendar. What do they call it? A little book, right? The calendar book. In manual. I still have my manual. I like them because I can refer to them 30 years later. Sure. And I know where I am on a certain day, I swear to God. Yeah. So I was looking at a book from, I don't know, the late 80s or early 90s or something. And I'm looking at all the stuff, all the gigs, there's triples in a night and swinging over here in the afternoon and going back. I said, I was getting dizzy just reading it. I works, all of us look at our books from when we were younger. Yeah. It's crazy. But that's all it is. It's just,
that's nuts though. We're doing doubles and triples. There was this drum show in Delaware yesterday, Delaware drum that I went to, and Freddie usually goes to it and he wasn't there. And so I asked Freddie, "You going to go?" He goes, "No, I got a gig." He actually had 2 gigs yesterday. I said, "You don't do doubles anymore? How do you do doubles anymore?"
I know it. Getting old like that, you got to stay physically fit, like Mick Jagger, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you're. Listen, when I ran into you one day, you and Skip. I forget what it was, a few years back, and I remember. I think I gave you a shot and you were like rocked up, man.
You must have hit a good spot. Who the heck knows? Yeah. No, I got good genes. I've good genes, but no, you got to stay on top of it. Otherwise, you're gonna just get achy and get hurt. You want to feel good. You have to watch. Watch yourself. Watch what you eat. Try to keep active. Take a walk.
Anybody our age these days, it just seems like every time I turn around, we're losing another one.
You're not kidding. It's tough, and you never know. Never know.
Alone, it's just like, oh my goodness, so I'm trying to be more conscientious about I went to the gym today, and I don't go nuts, but
there you go.
I was even shooting a little hoops today. It was
nice.
Nice. So I don't go crazy.
Here you go. I can't play hoops anymore, because every time I play, I was throwing my back out. Yeah. So look at that. Yeah. From the awkward landing and just from all the fouling I do and the pushing off.
My kind of player.
But as fit as you can't do certain things anymore, man. Come on.
But listen. And I'm so happy that you can join us. But there are some things I want to ask you because, and if you don't mind, and it might be redundant because you probably been asked this a million times, and I apologize if I'm going to get into it. But I want to ask you about just even getting started in the business and doing what you're doing, because you really seem to have paved your own. I mean, you not only you're a comedian, but you do you do all these impersonations, and you're so good at it. And how'd you get started doing this kind of stuff?
Well, the voices, I really think it's genetic. Both of my parents were singers at church. Oh, no way. My dad sang. He was a funeral singer, a wedding singer. He would do trips and doubles all during the day. He's got to shoot over to St. Dominic's and then down to St. Joan of Arc and things like that. So, and he worked for SEPTA. So and I've got 6 brothers and sisters, a big family.
Yeah.
Both parents sang, and we were always clowning around, doing voices. It's kind of like the environment that I grew up in which I grew up. And so I didn't have any other available trade when I was 5 or 6. I just started imitating people, and then it was kicked to the side. Then, oh yeah, he's pretty good, but he's just trying to get attention, trouble in school, class clown, that kind of thing. But then I was on stage in 7th and 8th grade doing, at the talent show, doing the dog chow commercial, Alfred Hitchcock, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Bernie Brant, and Bobby Clark back in 74, 75. So
love that.
I've been doing sports materials since, grade school.
Yeah.
So, and then in high school, I they said, well, start looking around for what you want to do. Yeah. And it was just a natural thing to go to Temple for communications because, number one, I wasn't going to get in anywhere else. Number two, we weren't going to be able to afford anywhere else. And in Philly, back in those days, it was sooner or later, everybody goes to Temple for something. And so I had my eye on, and it happened to be the number one communication school in the country. So I was a Temple guy, and I got everything that Temple offered, which was I started in performance, and halfway through, I got a job, like I said, selling pots and pans up in all over the place.
Let me tell selling pots and pans. That's
well, I hit Northeast Philly and ran out of houses. I had to go up to Levittown.
Yeah, sure you do.
Anyway, it was one of the ads I answered as a summer job. So then I started making money. I went to Bermuda twice off this fine pots and pans and fine china job, and somebody got to me at Temple right before I graduated and said, the money's in sales in this business. It's not in on air. And I said, oh, really? Well, maybe. So then I switched my concentration a little over to sales. I got an internship at Channel 17 in the sales department. See, the internship was everything for me. Yeah. I mean, it was everything, just career-wise. So I got in there, and that's how you meet people. You get in the building. So I graduated the next year, and I was armed with all these contacts and a credit on my resume. And it was almost like, well, we send a lot of people up to this Trenton radio station. So I got a job there. WKXW, it's New Jersey 101.5 now. It was a combo of AM,
was Len
FM.
Murray there? You remember Len Murray? Maybe he was there.
Which one?
Len Murray?
No.
Len Murray. He used to be a guy up there.
Len Murray. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he did the same name as that. It was another Len Murray, but he was on the air there.
Oh, Len Murray.
Len Murray, yeah.
I think say Glenn Barry. Len Barry. What the hell am I saying? Anyway, so I did that, and I didn't like it. I was like, what am I doing? I want to be behind the microphone, So after a year or 6 months, I quit. But a few months later, the guy, one of my coworkers there said, hey, we're getting together for happy hour. He had moved on to WCAU AM sales. I'm getting together. You want to come out and get a drink over Fridays on City Line Avenue? Sure. I go out there. He's with the sales manager from the FM side. Their morning guy just left. It was Barsky at the time. Yeah, one of the hot hits. They were hot hits. It was Barsky's first go round in Philly. He left to go to Chicago. They put Terry Young, the crazy motor mouth, in the morning. They wanted to build a team around him. They're looking for a guy that does voices. Yeah. I start doing the voices for the guy. He says, can you make a tape up? So that night I made a cassette on my handheld cassette. I got it out there. They put me on the air, and they said, you did pretty good today. You want to come back tomorrow? I'm 23 years old. I already had a sales career, and I was immediately unemployed in the broadcast business. Yeah. So they come back tomorrow, come back the next day. After a couple of weeks, they offer me a contract. Wow. And it was wild. And it was all because of that Channel 17 where I was in the building where one thing leads to another. I got the contacts. That was Lou Klein, personally. I don't know if you guys knew Temple. Lou Klein down there. He just died about a year or two ago.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
And he was a very nice man. He was an older guy. Yeah. And he got me that job. Yeah. Or that internship.
That guy.
Yeah. He helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
Was 17 on Winfield?
Yes, right there. Yeah. Dancing on air. In the back lot, in the back studio. Sid Doherty had the little booth. I was amazed. I was just loved being around it. Channel 17 WPHL TV, Philadelphia.
Yeah, and WDS used to be Georgie Wood.
In the woods, down the street.
Yeah.
It was right around there, man.
It was in Fairmount Park. Yeah.
Unbelievable. There's sometimes, when you do the voices, like honest to God, and I'm Fred saying probably happens to you too. Joe, I swear to God, sometimes I think it's the real person. Like I have.
Well, that's the trick, right? That's theater of the mind.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing? I was on our sister station, PHT, the politics the other morning. They got, and actually they're doing this on WIP too. They got everything's on camera like we are right here.
Yeah.
And it's not the way it used to be. I'm on the radio. Oh, camera all the time. Dude, I'm doing shtick here. I'm playing make believe, theater of the mind. You can't show my face.
Right.
And they're like, it's a big part of social media, this and that.
Yeah. Every show has it. Preston and Steve, there's cameras all over the place. I mean, it's a pretty big production. I remember. On Angelo. I'm sure the new morning show, but I remember seeing Angelo's show when Skip would come down and play, and once in a while Mage would come down and do it.
Oh man, how great was that kid? That kid was unbelievably talented. He would come in there, so I would be working all week on a song and reading lyrics off of paper, and this kid would come in and he'd have them off the top. He wouldn't have any notes.
No.
He was such a natural. This talent was bleeding out of him. It was I never saw anything like it, honestly. And he was working at City Hall.
Me too.
He had a day job.
Yeah, it's so sad because he had so much talent. I remember he took a road. I took him to the NAMM convention in LA the year before he passed away, and I brought him to LA. And he's never been to Los Angeles before, so we go in the NAMM convention. It's like it's a bit of a mind fuck because it's so many people and instruments, and it's just crazy. And we spent, I think we were there about 3-4 days, and I took him to believe it or not, I took him to this place called Beis Sheva. It's a synagogue, but they have shows, bands play, and this kid, Mage got up, and they were a band, and they were going to do like this hip hop thing, and he comes up freestyling, rapping. It was the most unbelievable thing I ever saw.
I don't know. He was a natural. He was unbelievable, and he used to just come in once a week during football and blow us away. Angelo was like, "This guy's like amazing." Yeah, it was something, And I'm talking to him afterwards. He's saying, "I got to get to work." I said, "Dude, what are you doing? He was in the court system or something.
Yeah.
Got to get the hell out of there, man. Start doing your thing, man."
Yeah. Because his mom was the assistant DA.
Right.
Okay. He worked in that office over there.
Yeah. So I think, because I know that his aunt got him. It was a Kathy that got him the job there, and but I think. He wanted to get out and be involved with entertainment. I mean,
that to answer your question, I mean, all of us when we start, and I guess when we finish, and even during, it's always like, I'm freelancing now. I got this other gig that I do for money, and the freelancing. If something comes in big, then we'll do that full time, and then we'll forget the free. So you're always got. I don't think it's unlike any of you guys. You always got your hand in a couple things.
Always,
So that's why you think I'm all over the place. You know, I'm just trying to keep my options open.
What I love, what I'm really impressed with is just how the quality, even the production of the things that you do, because obviously you do some, there's some recording involved, and your daughter's also a singer? Is it?
Yeah, my daughter's in our live show. Yeah. With the City Rhythm Orchestra.
I got to get out to see that.
You got. We're going to be at the Keswick on April 5th on Saturday night. I got you.
That's great.
So I guess Casey, when my daughter Casey, she graduated Drexel somewhere around 2012-ish. Now, when she was going to Drexel, she started doing some songs with us on the morning show with Angelo, and he loved her to death, and couldn't get enough of her. So we'd fire her. She probably did, I don't know, 20 or 30 songs over a 5 or 10 year period, something like that. But we had this big hit with Taylor Swift song, "We're Never Never Ever Gonna Win" with Andy Reid. So and then he was fired. Like,
wow,
that was at the very end, right before he got fired.
Yeah.
So, and then she got so she started, and she's in money. She's in finance. She works for a financial firm, and
that's smart.
Oh, I wouldn't let her in show business. I think you made it into Drexel. You're going to stay in your lane over there.
Yeah, that's
smart. He's yelling at me. You got it, Dad. What the hell's wrong with you? Get her on America's Got Talent. I said, this business sucks. She's staying where she is.
Yeah, even people that become like hugely successful, and hey, I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest with you. But there's so many people that run into these walls, and they don't have me. I was very fortunate to have a family that really had my back when things got really bad. But a lot of people don't always have that, and the business is like 1 minute you could be up here.
Oh, sure.
Down here.
That's why now she can have this as an elective. She's got her other career.
Yeah.
But she actually pulled off the radio a couple years ago because she didn't want any conflict of interest when we rip these sports teams. We have she's got a couple of big clients, so she's trying to protect herself a little bit.
When you were with Angelo hated Andy. And that was, I don't know, but it always seemed like genuine, like, I don't like this guy.
Well, that's how you got to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it came off pretty good. It would, still not. I'm sure he was pretty happy after the Eagles won the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, they almost won it right before he was right before he went out. He quit. And they had that game too.
Yeah.
2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah. If they had a ref that had a little bit of half a brain instead of calling that horrible call at the end, we would have had 2. But who knows? Who knows if they won that Super Bowl? Who knows what would have happened 2 years later? I mean, it
would have been our three-peat.
It could have been,
Possibly.
Hey, the team looks so good. It's you don't know what next year could be really pretty special too. I mean, we're going to lose some guys, but like free agency and all that stuff. But I still think they're going to be a really great team as long as we have Hurts and we have AJ and Barkley. I mean, God, and that offensive
and that defense was what won it this year, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was a shutdown D, and that new coach, who's 85 years old, Fangio.
He's a Philly.
Probably my age.
He's a Philly guy.
He's from Pennsylvania.
I think he's from No, he's from Bethlehem, maybe.
Yeah.
Just down.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly thought maybe he was
Stroudsburg.
Something.
I think it's up the mountains. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I heard he's a riot too. He's like
Grant.
He's
old school. He's a throwback. He says what's on his mind.
A bit of a curmudgeon. And he says what he thinks. But we needed something like that. You know what I mean? Hey, I got to show you what I got yesterday. Since we're talking about this, I was at the drum show. Look at this.
Oh, nice!
Wow!
Where'd you get
That's from the original Eagles pep band, right?
It was actually my friend of mine builds drums, and he built that, and he said, before I offer it up to anybody, I want to show you it. I said, I'm buying that.
Nice.
I gotta have it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just like, I love it. I love it. It's a great thing. So getting back to you getting started and everything like that. So you've been with WIP for.
Yeah, I guess 30 some years, I guess. Wow. Well, I started I started radio in, like I said, with CAUFM. That day I met the guy in the bar, and he said, "You want to come in and do voices?" So this is how crazy the business is. This is exactly what you were just talking about. A year and a half, so I get a contract, $40,000. Now, when I graduated from college, I was hoping to get an $18K annual salary. That would have been a successful hey, I went to school and I'm making $20,000. That's great. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
So it's a year later, and they hand me $40,000. Holy Lord! You know, it's like that's 1986.
Yeah.
All right. A year and a half later, they changed formats. I got nothing. I'm out of a job. Oh yeah. Before that, they had. Do you remember a TV show? See, this is what happens when you're in the building. So they're with the hot hits guys, Glenn Kalina, Richard, Bill O'Brien, and all those guys, and then we're in the Channel 10 building, and I knew I had arrived when. Bill Campbell. Oh, the great Bill Campbell. He's at.
Oh, that's good.
I go to the bathroom and Bill Campbell's at the urinal next to me, and I'm like, I can't believe what's happening.
Yeah, right. That's big.
I was on the corner last week, and now I'm in here being with Bill Campbell. But so. And we're also in the Channel 10 building, and Al Meltzer's walking by and things like that. And they were starting this new show called Live on City Line with Matt Lauer and Sheila Allen Stevens. Wow. They needed to interview hosts before they hired Lauer. They needed people to sit in on the interview process and pretend to be celebrities. So I went in there and did voices like
everybody,
Jack Nicholson, and whomever. And somebody liked me on the camera, and they made me the announcer of the show. So I had a TV gig in the afternoon. It was 5. It's 5 o'clock. It's time for Live on City Line. I had the old hand of the year. They had me on the old-fashioned mic at the Open. Our guest today, Tony Bennett, a fireman from Port Richmond and something else. Now here's Matt Lauer, Sheila Allen Stevens. And that lasted about 2 months. That thing ends. A week after that, they changed formats. I lose 2 jobs in like a month and a half. And I just had a kid. And, now I'm out of work. Yeah. You go from the top to now you're out. So I'm DJing at Gahouli's on Thursday nights up on Bustleton Avenue in the Boulevard, and Ruling Seafood on Tuesday, trying to get a comedy night. Tommaso's on Wednesday.
This is the stuff that people don't want. They hear this and it's like, I mean, you really, really paid your dues, man.
Well, I was just trying to survive.
Yeah,
we're trying to pay the bills. That's all. And it's not a unique story. It's just the story. It's just how it goes.
You almost can't say nothing. You like saying no to everything.
That's exactly it. You don't. Well, I can't afford to say no. I don't. Fill that calendar up 6 months. Why do you want to put that on your book? Because I don't know if I'm going to have work. You got to fill the calendar, fill out the days of the week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm just now starting to not do that because
trying to smell the roses a little.
Well,
bit.
Trying to,
Take a vacation, Joe. Do you take any kind? Do you ever like?
Yeah, I got a place down the shore. We go to Seattle.
Right.
I've tried to keep the summers pretty light. And that takes some doing too. Yeah. Because whatever. The urge is to fill that. Right. To fill that book up.
Yeah, I know. I promised my wife. We just got back. We were in Delray. Days. It was really one of the best vacations I ever had because it was 10 days. I got down there and this Florida has been a little bit cold this year from what I've been telling me, right? When I get down there, it was the Friday before the Super Bowl, and we got down there, and all of a sudden it was like 80 degrees, and every day I was there was 85 degrees. But Sunday night, I pull up, I get my car from Avis. And I go to, I asked the person, I said, can we bump my car up a little bit? Ladies, like I got Lady Luck on my side, and she gave me a smile. And I go out and I get in a car. It had 7 miles on the car. It was this.
Wow.
It was like, God, had a new car smell. It's really nice. It was huge though. And I look and there's no gas in the car. And I went, oh my God, there's no gas. So I told the guy, he goes, pull in the back. And I realized, and the guy goes, it's so new. We just got the car. No one drove it. I was the first one to drive it. So I go in the back and you might even know. So I'm getting gas in the car and I had my AJ Brown shirt on, and there's a lady with another Eagles shirt down like about, I don't know, 100 yards away, and she goes, "Go Birds," And
I love it.
and
I love it.
And she goes, "Oh my God, David!" And she goes, "She was a friend of my wife's." So, oh my God, she invited us to. We ended up
watching
we went to a Super Bowl party. I went to a Super Bowl party with a bunch of people I didn't know. The guy that started you might even know this guy. The guy that started the Golf Channel was there, and his wife was on TV too. And there were a bunch of people that did television and stuff like that. We were watching. I ended up being, we're all Philly Eagle fans, so we were all hugging and kissing at the end of the thing. But it was just such a great, like one of the best vacations I ever had, because I had my birthday on Tuesday.
Yes.
I just
happy birthday.
Thank you, Joe. But long story short is that, so we went away, and now we came back, and it was like 29 degrees when we got back here last Monday. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the cold never bothered me before.
It's brutal.
And we're going back again on the 18th, but I'm doing things like that where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to take vacations where it's like really chilling out and not playing. And I always bring sticks and a pad, but I'm not going to play with anybody. You gotta take a break when you can take a break.
Exactly.
So
my buddy Big Daddy Graham.
Oh my God, I'm glad you brought him up, because I was gonna mention him, and
we just we gave him a little salute in the show we did Saturday night. We did the Broadway Theater in Pittman, which he and I used to do every year. Together, two funny Philly guys, and now we're doing the orchestra show there. Spins Nightly, his good friend, came out and gave him a tribute song. He played "I Fought My Wife and My Wife Won."
You know what? I played that song with him at Winkle. We did a tribute to Winkle over at the Rib House, and we played that song with Spins.
That's great. That's great. So, what the hell was it? He always used to say to me when we would stress out about all this shit, we're talking about it, too much work, and like you're taking off, I'm going off. And he always he did a lot of stuff, and he would never turn down the gig. But he and his wife would shoot up to New York and shoot over here and get over there, and he would always press to get credentials to any sporting event. Anyway, he would, how pushy he was. He would push it, And I'd be like, man, I'm off. I'm just staying the hell home. He was a go-getter. He was always on the move. And he said, I remember this. He said, at some point, it's got to be worth it. All this stuff we do, constantly working and all. There's got to be a reward. So it was like stop and smell the roses. You've got to go on vacation. You have to, buy a nice car, whatever. There's got to be a reward. We work too hard. Is what
he got sick. He was too young. I remember going to see him in the hospital. I was living in LA at the time, or in the West Coast, and I remember coming to see him. We had some gigs somewhere, so I went to see him, and it just broke my heart, because the energy he had, and he was just. But even then, even with all that going on, he was just always like, his mind was always going. And
he was still. He wanted to get back out there. I mean, we actually did a show with him in the wheelchair. He was. It was rough. It was rough.
We did something, I guess. He already passed away. I remember that we did something. You were there too. It was,
the media theater thing.
Yes,
that was the fundraiser. That was a great night, wasn't it? That was a great night. Everybody came out for him. I mean, all the musicians and talent, all the comics. It was a great. Tommy was there. Skip.
Yeah. A lot of comedians too.
All the comics, And that was, I believe, the December following he went down. He had his accident in late July or early August, and it was that just a few months after that we had that benefit for him, and I think he died about a year and a half later. So it was tough.
What a night that was. That was like really.
It was.
He was just,
the legend.
One of a kind. I've never met anybody like him since.
You know
what I mean?
In every way, he was great.
I would call him when I was living in San Diego, Freddie. Sometimes I'd call him, and the Phillies. Sometimes it was before 08, because I remember they weren't something weird was happening, I'd call him. He was on late night. I think I was calling him.
Okay. Oh, you called it on the radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call him. On the radio, we talked baseball on the radio. So it was like he was. Man, I miss him.
You don't know how hard it is. I gotta film 4 hours in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
As far as callers,
he'd find something to talk about. He'd talk about him being a great center. I remember sometimes he'd talk about
in basketball.
Basketball. Like no one could touch me. He's like, I don't know, man. But he'd be dying over Embiid right now. So.
Oh God.
Don't bring that up.
That's rough. I met Nick Nurse Nick Nurse's kids take lessons at a school I teach at a couple nights, and I met Nick, and what a nice guy. And
is he? Yeah. Okay.
Really nice.
Oh, you're back in Philly now, full time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I moved back here 15 years ago.
I thought you said you were in LA recently. You were talking about Big Daddy or something. I thought.
Yeah, well, I was living when I lived out there. I was out there for 20 years. So and listen, back then we didn't have the internet. It was like, I was jonesing for Philly. Like no one has radio like Philly.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't have guys like you on the radio out there, Joe. I was like missing it. So I call in. So I came back. I think it was 2010 when I came back again. Divorce. So I ended up coming back. And I missed, but I really missed. Like coming back to Philly. It was like I could breathe again. I could eat again. I could listen to radio. I got teeth. I got fans again. You know what I mean? Like real sports fans instead of like leaving in the third quarter or like showing up late. It's a different ball game. But Big Daddy was cool because I could call him, and it was just a great connection.
Sure. Yeah.
I did it from Europe sometimes when we were on tour. It was always great.
Wow.
He had a couple. I think Len Barry used to call him too, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Speaking of that, bringing his name up because he was a crazy Philly sports guy too. I'd see him with letters to the editor talking about the Phillies and stuff.
Yeah.
Len Barry, West Philly.
Yeah. Right. I just bought tickets, so that's one thing I'm excited. I've never been to Phillies spring training. I'm going to go see.
Great.
I'm going down. And they go down in a few weeks. I'm going to see the Phillies and the Braves play in Venice, Florida. I just got tickets. But boy, did they rip me off because I had to buy tickets through a reseller. So it's like I paid gas to get tickets, but I didn't care. I want to see a game. See what that's like. You
got to go to Clearwater too.
Yeah.
The home games. It's
great.
It's like they're playing down the recreation center. It's like they're playing at the.
That's what's so cool about it. How close you can get to the player.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same anymore. When I was living out on the West Coast, the Padres used to practice in Yuma, Arizona, and I drove out there one day to watch. And I stood like I might have been 5 feet. I mean, he almost hit me with his bat. Tony Gwynn was taking batting practice, and the guy that was jumping in next was Ricky Henderson because they were playing the A's. Wow. And I remember it was like ridiculously hot. It was Arizona. It was crazy, but that was cool. I love stuff like that. That's amazing. It's the coolest. I went from Nick Nurse to baseball, but
that's all right.
You're gonna find out when people do the podcast and go, man, you really are ADD, aren't you?
Who isn't, right?
It's not a bad thing.
If you're an artist, you gotta be. I think
I thought I was dyslexic, and I got tested. It says no, you have severe ADD.
Listen, there's a guy. You do impressions. You know what he'd be great at, Fred? Bernard Purdy. There's a drummer we know he's famous for this thing called the Purdy Shuffle.
Oh, okay.
And he's I had dinner with him on Saturday night, and I'm thinking somebody's got to impersonate this guy. He's we do the impression of him because he's like
send him a YouTube video.
I got send a video when
he talks and he plays at the same time.
Talks like chicken and stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had this dinner with him and Liberty DeVito, who played with Billy Joel for 30 years, and he ended up getting fired from Billy, and he played with him forever. And it was always, everybody was like, how'd you fire this guy? He was a great drummer. Amazing. But it was like having dinner with both these guys, and they both hold court and talk like about how fucked up the music business is and crazy stuff. It's pretty cool. For me, I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. So what do you have coming up next? What are you doing?
Well, I got the Plumstead Inn. Have you ever been up there?
Yes.
Plumstead. It's a nice spot.
I know where that is. Yeah.
It's all the way up above Doylestown.
Yep.
It's the second year I've done it, and it's sold out in like a week. And you just never know, man. But it's a small place. I think there's only.
Do you bring the City Rhythm Orchestra with you when you do?
No, that this will be this Friday. Like I said, the next City Rhythm show would be up at the Keswick at the beginning of April 5th, Saturday. You got to come out and see us if you're around.
Definitely. I want to see it. I mean, and.
It's actually, we're giving some money. It's going to be half a benefit. I'm partnering with the Abington Police, but they just said from that SBS fire up there in the Glenside, we're gonna donate a lot of the money to give to the firefighters. That equipment that can't even be used anymore. All their gear. You know how much it takes about $5,000 to suit one fireman. You know what I mean? With gear, and that's all contaminated now. Yeah. So they got a need there. So we're gonna donate for that. That'll be a hit.
You do a lot of stuff like that, don't you? It seems like
it's all part of it. You know what I mean? It's all part of being in business. I think it's good business.
It is good business.
Why not be nice?
Yeah. How about it?
How about it, man? It's like we live in a world where it just seems like, okay, all of a sudden it became fashionable to be nasty and mean. And, I don't get that. I really do, give somebody a helping hand.
Yeah, but look at us. So, we've made a living off of all these people anyway. I mean, for me, I know that.
We're on board with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think giving back is natural and it makes good business sense, but it's it's almost, you almost owe it, I think.
Yeah. Indeed, no doubt. It's something that without people coming out to see you play and supporting what you do.
Absolutely. That's why I love all the locations: Levittown, South Jersey, Olney, Glenside. There's always connections. There's people that and people that I heard you here. Oh yeah, you remember that? And it's all it all feeds each other. So I think it's important to give back.
Absolutely. So we mentioned Skip earlier. How did you and Skip get connected? Skip's a great guy.
Yeah, well, he was. I had a hiatus in the middle of my IP career around 2003, 4, 5, right around there, and I went to MMR. They started the Philly guys. Me and Missinelli went there with Vinny DeCrum, and
what year was that you did that? What was that?
2002 or 2000, somewhere to 2006, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
and I left, and then when I came back, Skip had arrived at with Angelo Cataldi, he was just there, and then I started working with him from there. Yeah. And I had no idea. You talk about a Rolodex and a list of people that he's worked with.
Yeah,
I mean that guy, and he doesn't say anything really except, I was just talking to Willie Nelson the other day.
I knew Willie was going to come up.
Yeah. And then Tex Cobb brings Tex Cobb in. I don't know how he started coming in too.
Yeah.
Amazing that he had a song on Willie's record, and you got to be, Willie gets a lot of songs, and it's amazing that, he works with nobody but the best, and he's Skip.
Yeah. So Skip and I have been friends for that long, about 20 years or so.
Yeah.
It's just Skip, and he's just the nicest guy in the world.
He is. He certainly is. And another crazy Eagles Phillies fan.
Sure.
Yeah, I love it. I did him and Winkle were on the podcast together. I think they were on together a while ago, and we were both talking sports and stuff. And Winkle, he might have been wearing his baseball uniform that day. You know? Winkle in his day.
Great people. I can't believe they're all gone, man.
Yeah,
all gone.
You know, Winkle leaving us
so nuts.
Soon, you know, he was a big part of this thing in the pocket thing that I did.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
He's been around forever, you know, what he was doing, you know, thinking about when it was the American Dream, and he's just he's great. How did you put your band together? How'd that come?
Well, I've always wanted to do it, to be honest with you. I've always, like I said, I've been doing these voices. I mean, I was a voice guy when I was a little kid, and I knew I wanted to be an announcer on radio, but I didn't. I had to grow into being a comedian. I had to learn how to write some jokes and learn how to present. I've always used joke writers. I had a couple different guys with me forever, and and like I said, my parents were singers. But who doesn't want to be a singer, right? And put a band together. Yeah. So I guess about 5 or 6 years ago, from my gig up at Parks Casino, Mike Baldini wanted to do something a little bigger than the normal comedy night, and he wanted to do a roast, a bigger show. So he had been working with what's his name, Sid Marks with the Frank Sinatra. He did a lot of those Sinatra nights. Where he would bring in an orchestra and a Sinatra guy and do that. Well, Baldini worked with Sid for a lot of years. Yeah. And he came up with this idea of bringing together, let's do not a roast, but a toast. So we toasted Charlie Manuel and Fran Dunphy because Fran had quit back at the time. He had quit again.
He quit again.
I texted him the other day and said, "Are you threatening to quit another job?" They can't hold him back.
Yesterday,
yeah. So hopefully he can retire this time. He's the best. Yeah. So we did this this night where we brought the orchestra in, and I emceed, and I sang a couple songs with them. Yeah. And it wasn't even Pete Spina is the city rhythm guy. It wasn't even Pete's orchestra, but Pete was in there as the glue to kind of lead things and kind of just hold it together and put the program together, basically. And I said to him, "Would you be willing to do some, work together?" And he said, "Sure, whatever you want to do." You know, he's always looking and talk about flexibility. You know, he just he makes the whole night about. So I basically took my act and picked out chunks of. We do chunks of comedy. I do an open. We do select parodies. I use a couple of his guys, his Sinatra guys, singing, a Sinatra song that changed the words a little bit. Yeah. And it's a great program. It's all about Philly sports.
That's awesome.
Ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Listen. I've never heard a negative thing about it, which is pretty good, man. You know, in this day and age, it's it's great. That's amazing. You know, keep plugging away, and it's that's fantastic stuff. You know. So what's your summer? So you're doing this. You got the Plumstead. By the way, Kuzma used to live up there. Fred.
Plumstead. Okay. Yeah. They're So that'll be next Friday, and I don't even know. There's a couple more shows, but honestly, I'm trying not to do as many. Yeah. Just because. And the other thing is, you get, especially during the winter, if I start getting run down, I get sick. We're shaking hands after every show, and you just never know. I mean, what was it last? Yeah, the fall. The fall I did. It was stay in bed till I got to go to work and get back into bed again, and you know what I mean. It's like
is inside your bed now. It seems like I felt like yesterday was a super spreader at that drum convention. I was shaking so many hands. There were so many people. I told my wife, I said, if I don't get sick, it'll be a miracle, because it's like I didn't think about it till later, but there were like people, and no one wears masks anymore, which what are you gonna do? But it was like.
Yeah, and that'll knock you down.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did we miss anything, Joe? I know, Did we miss anything?
I don't know. Who knows? We're just three old guys talking. That's all.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'm glad that you brought up Mike Missinelli. Mike Missinelli grew up in Bristol.
He's a Bristol guy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I grew up
In the borough.
He lived in Borough. I lived in Bristol Township.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he was a pretty good ball player, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Just ask him.
I know.
Hey, Mike.
No,
No,
I remember Mike had a good shot, though.
Oh, he could play. Of course. You don't get the ball back, though.
No.
No. So I'm busting his balls. But
No,
I remember asking him, he's saying, so he was talking about Bristol, the football team in high school. I said, you play football, Mike? What position? Quarterback.
Quarterback, of course.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
But now Mike was good at. He played baseball at Penn State, so I mean that's probably was his best sport.
Really?
And so, I mean it's college ball. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, hey. Well, listen, man. I want to thank you.
The Kenwood Ballpark Tavern.
Yes, Charlie.
Indeed.
Love that.
Yeah. Right.
Was that Bath Road?
Yeah. Levittown. Man.
That's the other thing. All these places that we worked, I never forget them. I never forget them. And I'm always looking for what's there now. Is that building still standing? The Friendly Tavern in Ridley Park, Millmont Park. That was like Big Daddy's room. It was one of my first jobs I ever worked. And it was a bad place to work, but I did sports material, so I did okay in there. I was doing Harry Callis and things like that. And deep Delco, deep lower, below the pike. Yeah, and it's
best.
Yeah,
you do a good Harry too.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swing of the line drive, way back.
Oh my God! What I would do to be able to do something like that—that's amazing.
Well, maybe practice a little bit more.
That guy. All right.
I know it's white hot.
Stay well. Thank you again. Thank you.
Always great to see.
Great seeing you.
Very nice meeting you, Fred.
Nice meeting
you. It was a ball.
We'll catch up, man. I got to come out. I'll look at your schedule. And I'll pop out when you least expect it.
I want you to come up and sing a song.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Take care.
See you, Joe.
Ciao.
Wow. Was he great or what?
That was great.
Man, he's like, I like because he's such a pro and he's, made it work. You know what I mean?
That's funny. I was actually gonna ask him about Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. So. Yeah. I'm glad it came up because I thought
me too.
I love that guy. That guy was
he was awesome.
So.
Big music fan. Huge music fan.
Yeah. And his sister Liz.
Yes, they used to come out to see my old band at 23s and your band too.
Yeah, sure. She used to come not only 23s. I think she used to come to Grendels there.
That's how I know him through her, through Liz.
Fred, you can use my snare, my Eagle snare, anytime you want.
I love it.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye. We're going to say goodbye. I don't know what episode this is, so I'm sorry. I'll be corrected. I'll put it up on. But we'll thank you for everybody joining in. And Fred, thank you very much.
Always
Joe Conklin, Rich DeSisto, thank you so much for producing, and we'll catch you on another In the Pocket podcast.
David Uosikkinen In the Pocket is sponsored by the School of Rock Main Line. I'd like to thank the School of Rock Main Line, located at 511 Old Lancaster Road in Berwyn. You can visit their website at schoolofrock.com. Ask for Dave Marsh or Rick Allison.